In this particular video, we're just going to be trying out to build this page transition I saw on the Awwwards site. Okay, so if you try moving to a separate page, for example, you get to see this staggering effect, or should I say, this stairs effect that has been created on exit and on enter of this particular page. We'll be building this from scratch using Tailwind CSS, Nextjs, and also Framer Motion for this page transition. So one of the sad news right now is Nextjs 14 doesn't support, or should I say, it's kind of hacky to actually make use of the of page transitions in Nextjs app router. So for that, we're just gonna be making use of the pages router. Actually, try to recreate this animation from scratch. It's kind of possible to do this with app router, but it's kind of hacky, like I said. But I think that will be a separate video. So I just want us to focus more on just creating it from scratch. And without wasting much time, let's jump into code. Okay, so we actually have our application running now on localhost 300, which is just a Next.js application, which is the pages router. Like I said, we will be using the pages router to actually achieve this particular animation. Okay, so this is the preview of what we currently have on the browser. We just have three pages, which is the base route, which is the home page. We have a product page and we have the contact us page, right? Which just shows some dummy text. So this were all just set up. I'll quickly show you. This was all just set up with Tailwind CSS, so we could quickly focus on actually working on the transition itself. Okay, I think we're good and we could start thinking of how we actually animate these pages. Okay, to get started working on our page transition, first off, let's install Framer Motion in this application. So we could add Framer Motion by installing directly from npm, which is yarn add Framer Motion. Okay, so we already have Framer Motion installed right now. So let's quickly continue what we're working on. Okay, so first off, as you can actually see here, we actually have 6 columns laying on top of each other. Okay, so let's start from there. Let's actually start from there. So quickly, let's create a new component, and we're just gonna call this component. We could call it layout. This layout is just gonna be like a wrapper around our pages, right? We have 3 pages, which is the contact us, the index, and the product page. So let's quickly create this particular layout wrapper. So first off, it's gonna accept a prop, which we're just gonna quickly type here, and we're gonna say just gonna accept some children, and this should be React, and just gonna be a React node. Yeah, cool. Okay, so we're just gonna put our children here and say this is gonna be our children. And it seems we have an error. What does the error say? Okay, yeah, this should be a React node, obviously. Yeah, not React DOM. Cool. Okay, so we have this, and if we go back to the example of what we're trying to achieve, we could actually see 6 columns on top of each other. So let's quickly do that. I'm just gonna create a variable here called const. Right, number of columns is just gonna be, for example, we have 6 columns in on each other, and we are going to actually create a separate div here, and also say, and also try to create just an array, right? Try to spread creating a new array. I'm just gonna take the length of our columns, right? And we having this, we could actually map through it, right? Since it's an array, and it's just gonna give us our value and also our index. In this our case, index is just gonna be a number, right? Remember, we're just gonna return the JSX, which is just gonna serve as our columns, each of our columns, and we could quickly style this, and this is just gonna be a background of, let's say, a background of red 300. Okay, we have a typo here, cool. And also we need to put in the key because we're getting some errors here already. The key is just gonna be index of this particular iteration. Okay, so we just have this, and this should just have a position of relative and also width of full, since we want it across the screen, and also a height of full, which is just equivalent like a utility class for width of 100% and height of 100% from Tailwind CSS. Okay, so for this our parent component, we are just gonna style this, but before we do that, let's have a look and see what we currently have in the browser. So we just have an array which we are just creating, right? With the array keyword, passing the number of columns, which is just going to be 6. So let's quickly have a look and see what we currently have in the browser. Okay, so inspecting quickly, and we should have some values across our screens. And the reason why we can't actually see that right now is because we haven't wrapped it around our pages. So let's quickly wrap it around our pages and say, okay, layout is just going to be imported from layout component and wrap it around our page. Cool. Let's do it also for the index page, imported layout. Let's also do it for our product page, and cool. So we think at this point we should actually see what we need here. Okay, so if you go into our page, actually inspecting this, you're just gonna see we have one, two, three, four, five, six different items actually on our page. But surprisingly, you won't actually see it here right now. So for us to actually see this and actually visualize it properly, we just need to style the parents that is actually wrapping this. So we're just gonna say class name of width of just gonna be width of screen, which is basically 100 view width. And we're also gonna do the height too, right? Which we just want it to be across the whole screen. And this should just have a position of fixed or top of zero, left of zero. Just gonna put a pointer events of none, right? Just to show it. And we'll also kind of just put something like z index of 20 to place it up on top of the particular all pages. Yeah, cool. So if you inspect this right now, again, you should be able to still see each of our columns layered on top of each other, and they are all on top of each other like before. But right now we could actually see the parents. Okay, so the reason why you can't actually see this properly, visualize it properly, is because the items are just that way. And let's try to add a flex around each item and inspect again. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. So we actually want them to be laying horizontally, not actually vertically, the way we have actually have it right now. So for us to do that, we're just gonna make sure that we have a flex of column, right? Yeah, cool. And let's inspect one more time quickly. Inspecting, so we just have this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layered on top of each other, which is amazing. Cool. So now the next thing we need to do, we need to start animating this with Framer Motion. So we're just gonna go into our app, right, which is like the wrapper around the whole pages, and make sure we import the animate presence and also add the mode of weight right across our components. Okay, I think with that we could actually go back to our layout page and start animating. Okay, so to start animating, let's just import our motion components from Framer Motion. Just gonna import motion from motion components from Framer Motion. Sorry, yeah, cool. And we're just gonna say this should just be motion.div, right? And also we could just say this should also be a motion.div. Okay, cool. We have this, and let's start animating. So for this particular animation, we're just gonna make use of a variant, right? So variant in Framer Motion is just think about it like an object, right? Which you could just use to actually animate your React 3 directly. And it's just a set of rules, right? To tell how your DOM should actually animate your values. So we're just gonna say we're gonna call this columns. Let's just say column expand variant, which is just gonna be a variant. Like I said, it's just gonna be an object. And this is our object. We have three states, right? So let's take a look at the animation again. We have the initial, this is the exit, and this is the enter. Okay, so we have three different states, right? So we're just gonna say initial is just gonna be left of zero. Cool. And also we're gonna say at this point where we actually entering the page, we actually want this to start from the left, right? We have a left of 100 view width, right, across the whole screen. And we could actually have some transition properties here. And transition property is just gonna be a duration of something like 0.3, and also we just add a delay of 0.2. And if we want, we just add an ease, which is just gonna be, let's say ease in. Okay, that is on enter. Then we're just also gonna set on that rule for our exit. Let's just reuse this. So if we're exiting the particular page, we want this to start from the width of same 100 width, not inner width. We just need the width directly, and I think same value works for us right now. So we just have this column expand variant, which we're gonna use directly in our each of our columns. Okay, so we're just gonna say variant is gonna equals to our variant, and on the initial property of this particular guy is just gonna be a string, which we already initialized in our variant, which is initial. And we also gonna accept our animate. On animate, we named it enter. And also on exit, we're exiting this particular component, it's just gonna be exit. Cool. Okay, so with this example, let's quickly see what we currently have in our page. Okay, we have an error, and let's refresh the page real quick and see. Cool. Get static part is not a function, and that's a strange error. I think we just restart our development server right now, and where that takes us. Cool. Let's restart this and see. Okay, so we're running on localhost 3000. Let's see what we currently have. Okay, cool. So we just have this, just this animation. Okay, what we currently have: home, product, contact us, product, home. Okay, so we're almost there. So the next thing we need to do based on the animation we currently have here, we need to delay each of the particular column as a show up, right? Because right now what's just happening here, if you see, is all the columns are actually having the same delay time. So we need to make sure, or we need to try find a way to actually make sure the first column starts, followed by the next one, followed by, like, basically having a staggering effect for each of the column, right? So for us to do that, let's open up VS Code again. For us to do that, we could actually create a custom variable in here, right? Which is available in your motion component directly when you're using Framer Motion. So basically it says use for custom data to use to resolve dynamic variance differently for each animating property. So basically what this means is wherever value you're actually passing into your custom, it's gonna be available in our variants, right? So basically we want to use it to delay each of these values. Okay, take some time before you show up, take some time before you show up. Okay, so cool. So what we'll be passing into this place is just the number of columns plus the each of our index, right? Which is just at this point, which is our index directly. So we're passing number of columns, which is 6 plus our index for each iteration. Okay, so at this point, each of our particular properties could actually be used as a particular function. We're just going to make this a function, this particular comma, and also this. Okay, so remember, like I said, the custom property should be available in our variant right now. So the index, which is just going to be a number, and it's going to be available here. So now we're going to use the index to actually times the delay, right? In the sense of, okay, if the index, the value we're actually receiving from here, which is just this from the custom, we're actually timesing this to give it a staggering effect. So they actually delay at a different time. This is like an iteration, right? So we also have to do it for our exits. Okay, cool. Okay, so we're gonna make exit a function. So let's quickly do that and say, okay, this should just be a regular function, and okay, then pass in this value, take this out, and remember just accepting. Okay, I think we could just call this I, since it's not actually the direct index we're getting from there. Let's just name this I, and you can name it wherever you want to name it as. So we're just gonna times this by the value. Also do this for also our exits. Times it by I. Actually get tagging effect of that particular animation. Okay, so if you go back here and see, we go to the contact us page. Okay, let's go to the home page. You have a red page and this. Go to the product page. You have this. Contact us page. Have this. Okay, cool. Home, the products, and also the contact us page. Let's quickly change this to background of let's quickly change this to the background of white, since that's what we're using from the example we're trying to create. Okay, this should just be a background of white. And okay, cool. Let's take a look about what we've already done so far. We have just this page, and we have this, the contact us page. We have this. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual site we're trying to recreate from, and see how they actually did theirs. Okay, cool. So let's go to separate page. Okay, cool. So if you notice, they have the animation in two ways: the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 when leaving the page, and when you enter the page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you look at our own example right now, like what we've done so far, let's go to the home page. Nothing happens until we enter the page, right? So there's one of the animation that's actually missing, or should I say there's something missing in our particular implementation. Okay, so for us to fix that, let's quickly go back to VS Code. For us to be able to fix that, so we could have the animation working properly, we could just set a particular value which is also available in your properties in Framer Motion, which is just going to be transition. Call it the transition end. So basically what it does is to run a particular animation, right? When, like, what do you actually want to run when the animation ends. So in our case, we're just gonna set our width to 0, and also our left to 0. Let's take a look in the browser and see how that looks. Okay, cool. So let's go to the products page, and we have this. Let's go to the contact us page. Okay, let's try it again. Home. Okay, let's quickly see what we currently have again. This should just be, let's just make this strings, right? Width of 0 to the width to left of also 0. Let's also see end. Cool. Okay, let's see this. Okay, cool. That is the exit, and this is the entry. This is the exit, and this is the entry. Okay, let's do it again. Exit and entering of this particular page. The exit and entering. Okay, so I think if we take a look at what we currently have here, we actually have something quite similar, right? So it just takes more of trying to tweak it and trying to play with those values, which is your duration, your delay, and also the ease in and ease out values. But I think with this, the general knowledge and the basic knowledge of how to create such transition across your page is actually gotten and established. Without wasting much time, we'll call it the end of this particular video. And if you're actually interested in learning more about Framer Motion, I'll advise you check out my other videos on Framer Motion, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and also share this video if you find it helpful. See you in the next video.